Hey everybody, Derek here to bring you my first video for Fear the Walking Dead Season 2. Now that Walking Dead has ended its 6th season, I'm going to be beginning my Fear the Walking Dead series. Don't worry, there's going to be plenty of videos about Walking Dead in the coming weeks and over the summer as we get ready for that, so don't worry, I will still be reviewing that. And as we get further along in the summer, I will also be going back to reviewing Z Nation as well. So all those shows are still on my roster. Don't worry, I'm not dropping any of them. I love all these zombie shows, and I will absolutely review them for as long as I am able to and as long as the shows are on. But what I want to do with today's video is talk about Fear the Walking Dead's 2nd season and things that I hope that it does better than the 1st season did, as well as some elements that I hope continue on from season 1 into the 2nd season. If you are not caught up with Fear the Walking Dead and you do not want to be spoiled in any way, then I would exit the video now and come back later, because otherwise you will be spoiled. Okay. So, Fear the Walking Dead is a companion series to The Walking Dead. And, it's very tough whenever you move into a spin-off or a companion series of any show. We see that happening a lot with many other things, NCIS, the CSIs, you have the Law and Order series, a lot of shows try to make either spin-offs or a companion series, which is kind of dealing with the same subject matter. And the shows want to be able to keep some elements that work for the first, original show, but also want to set apart their new show and make it stand on its own and be unique. And I think that in many ways, Fear the Walking Dead succeeded very well in some respects of doing that. It is very hard to compare and contrast Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead, especially when, The Walking Dead has been along in, 5 seasons compared to Fear the Walking Dead's 1. When it first premiered, Walking Dead was in its 5th season. And, I think that there were a lot of things that we see in The Walking Dead that when we look at Fear the Walking Dead and we see something different, sometimes it's hard to compare, and sometimes you want more. But nonetheless, I think that when you look at Fear the Walking Dead Season 1 as a whole, I think it was a great story. I think it definitely introduced a lot of great characters, great conflicts, great storylines, and things that I hope that they still hold on to. But in tradition with keeping with some of the things that The Walking Dead does, there are other things that I do want to see out of Fear the Walking Dead in a different light than what they did with the 1st season. First, I want to focus on things I hope they continue to do. One, the big thing is to continue to focus on the family dynamic that they've been doing. I love that about Fear the Walking Dead. The show being about, a family dealing with the apocalypse. Exactly how are you going to react? What are your priorities going to be? How will the world change you? And how, in a sense, will it change your perspective as well as your family members' perspective of you? And you saw a lot of that in the 1st season, how various different characters really saw different sides of not only themselves, but their loved ones. And I think that that is something that is crucial that needs to happen in Season 2, a continuation of this. One example was Daniel Salazar. Him being introduced, we saw him as a character that had been through a very rough past and was revealed to have been a torturer. And, seeing him torture Adams and Ophelia finding out all of this information about her father, was very, very good storytelling. And I liked how, the characters changed and their relationship changed. And I think that it will continue to do so into the future. We also see a character like Nick, who is struggling with his drug addiction. Maybe he still will be in the second season. And how will Alicia, Travis, and Madison support him? Will they be able to do that? And I think the big, big ones that we've seen were with Madison and Travis, seeing the two of them really seeing different perspectives of the apocalypse, and what was going on when the military came in and was dealing with the situation in their neighborhood. You saw Madison being more realistic, not having as much faith, especially after she went out and saw, the dead bodies that were outside of the neighborhood. And yet you have Travis, who is really clinging on to this hope that something is going to, make things better, and I think that you saw how those characters really changed quite a bit. And I think that's going to continue to do so, especially after Liza's death, seeing Travis have to, kill his ex-wife, the mother of his son, and as well as the other things that really led up to the finale. We saw that Travis letting Adams go was not a very good idea. Adams came back and shot Ophelia. And I think that Travis is really going to be going through a lot of changes in the second season. And I think that it's going to be very interesting to see how does that affect his son, Chris? How does that affect Madison? How does that affect the rest of the group? That I want to continue to see. I want to see the family dynamic. I want to see the changes in everybody and to see the relationships keep on changing, because that is something that is unique to Fear the Walking Dead that I really like. Walking Dead had that in its first 2 seasons with Rick, Shane, Lori, watching them change and dealing with the things that had happened with them. I like that. And we don't really get a lot of that on The Walking Dead anymore because, most of these people are not family members in the sense of, before the apocalypse. They didn't know each other before that. So I think that aspect is very unique to Fear the Walking Dead and is something that needs to continue, and I really hope that they do. Another thing that I want to see is to continue to focus on the collapse of civilization. I think that Fear the Walking Dead gave us a little taste of what was going on, and I really liked that. I liked seeing those little hints of things starting to fall apart, to see the riots in the city, to see the walkers first appearing and people going, whoa, what are those things and what's going on? Not really understanding what the situation was, to see the military, playing a role and really, affecting the lives of the people and then issuing cobalt, realizing that there wasn't any more hope, that they were just going to destroy everything. I think that those themes were very good for the first season of Fear the Walking Dead, and I want to continue to see that. I want to continue to see what is going on with the city of Los Angeles, its nearby areas, people, what exactly are they doing? What kind of effects are they going to have? And, to continue to see the push to the survivors having to push even harder to survive. And especially in the early days of the apocalypse, I'm assuming that Rick is still, unconscious in his coma in Atlanta while this is going on. And I think that this is a very crucial time to show those changes. So I really hope that Fear the Walking Dead continues to focus on that as well. Another thing is to see the disagreements with the group and the tension. I like that. I appreciate and love the fact that The Walking Dead, Rick's group in Alexandria and the people that he is with before, for the most part, are very loyal to each other. We very rarely have moments when people turn their back on the group or disagree with the decision. And even if they do, they don't necessarily, cause things to not happen a certain way. If Rick wants something to happen, people may disagree, but they'll go along. Something like that. But what you notice with Fear the Walking Dead is that this group is not yet unified. And I think that a lot of that is because of the family dynamic, the fact that people surviving with their loved ones is going to change potentially your way of surviving. If you're with a group of strangers, you might equally look out for each other unless maybe you fell in love with one of them or something. But Daniel Salazar in one of the trailers makes a good point to Ophelia. He was like, you really think that they're going to save you over their own daughter, their own son? It's not going to happen. And you see that that feeling in Salazar, this sense of we're not a group, we're forced together because of the circumstances, but we are not unified yet. And I still want to see that exploration. I don't want this group to be absolutely perfect, unified, ready to go. I want to see them struggle. And maybe some character or characters might have to die in order to make the group unified, like how Dale had to die in season 2. Or, maybe different people have to join the group, people that are not family members of, Travis or Madison or the Salazars. Maybe we need to see that happening. And I really hope we continue to see more disagreement with the group, because I think that really adds to the tension, and it really makes it seem more realistic. Sometimes, with The Walking Dead, you're like, really, you guys always agree on everything? Come on, let's see a little bit of, disagreement other than, Morgan. Let's see a little bit more. And I really like that with Fear the Walking Dead, that these people are not unified. I like that, and I want to see that continue, at least for a little bit longer. My hope is that maybe they do somewhat start to unify, but let that take a little while. Now, some things that I want them to do differently than season 1. In season 2, these are things I want to see happening more. 1, focusing more on the apocalypse. And one of my biggest fears about what they're doing is that we might not get a full, view of what's going on. One of the things that I really disagreed with and did not like about season 1 was all the time they spent inside that neighborhood. I wanted to see more of the chaos that was going on outside of there. I wanted to see, the walkers starting to spread. I wanted to see how people were going to react. And we got a little taste of that. We saw the riots in LA. We saw the police officers dealing with certain things. We saw the army doing things, but really we didn't see the direct impact of everything going on. We got little tastes, as well as we heard about things like Cobalt. But what I want to see is more of the devastation, more actual, throwing themselves into these situations and seeing just the full devastation of the world. It's one thing I love about Walking Dead. You're walking down the road, you see corpses lying all over the place, the cars abandoned, buildings burned down, wrecked. Things like that are very appealing, to the audience. And I like that because it makes it seem more realistic. But this, season 1 was kind of more in a bubble, and I don't want to see that. I want to see more of what's going on outside the walls. And one thing I worry about is that with this boat, with the yacht, them being out on the water all the time, we may not see as much of that, and we might get another season, 2 of Walking Dead when they were on the farm all the time. And I really don't want to see that. But I think that based on the trailers and some of the things that they're doing, I think the boat will be making landings at various different parts. So we might see the effects of the apocalypse. We might see more walkers, just how dangerous they are, seeing people being dangerous. I think that Strand alluded to that in one of his remarks on the trailer. And I think that we are going to see those things. So I am going to put some faith in the trailers that they are moving more in that direction, but I got to see it to really believe it. So I want to see more of the devastation, more of the apocalypse firsthand from this group. And the other thing, more action. We don't need to overload it, okay? There needs to be a good balance between, walker action, people action, the discussions, the drama. There needs to be a balance, but I really felt like, season 1 kind of lacked in that, which I think overall made sense for the format. I think that season 1's lack of, zombie action, walker action, I think was, for a purpose, because they're still learning about things. They're still really trying to understand what's going on. The problem was, not as serious at the time, but now that things have started to get a little bit more chaotic and there's more of a collapse, especially with the, the military instituting Cobalt, I want to see more, head-on-head action. I want to see, more going at it with the walkers. I want to see the devastation, that's going on. I want to see all of that. So I think that season 2 needs to step it up. It can't just be them sitting on the boat all the time, arguing about stupid stuff, and then every now and then they go on the land and they kill one walker and whatever. No, I want to see this group really have to dive in and see the devastating effects and having to deal with them. There are a couple of walker kills in the trailer, and we also see more, walkers in the trailer, so it makes me think that this is going to happen as well. So, I do have a lot of faith in season 2 of Fear the Walking Dead. I think this show can continue to be good. I think it can only get better, and my hope is that AMC and the writers do have a good plan for it, and I'm going to stick with it and see what happens. But I do have high hopes, and I really think that we should give it a chance, see what it can do with its second season, and see if this show really has what it takes to go the distance. So with that, I'm going to bring this video to a close. I want to thank all of you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, don't be afraid to leave them. Feel free to subscribe. I do have more videos coming. And if you have any suggestions for future videos that you would like to see, don't be afraid to suggest them. Have a very wonderful evening, and thank you very much for watching.